Welcome to another Straight Up Tuesday tip. I'm 𝗤𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁. With me as always is Mark 𝗬𝘁𝗍𝗁. And with us, my attorney, my pal, 𝗤𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗵𝗁. How we doing?
Just living the dream, guys. Happy to be back.
You are. All right. I didn't count before, and I know we're over 5 times. I don't think we're at the 10-time award yet, though. So we gotta have you on a few more times.
Works for me. I'm always available for you guys.
So, all right, we have talked a lot of different scenarios. One we have not covered in 200-something episodes is the final walkthrough. So we've talked a little bit about, putting something under contract, the inspection. Now it's, hey, you're closing on Friday. Do you want a final walkthrough Thursday night, Friday morning? Let's talk about the final walkthrough, both from the buyer side and the seller side. So start with the buying side. What are some of those, hey, let's make sure XYZ type of things must happen on that final walkthrough?
Yeah, this is your last opportunity to take a look at the property, make sure that it's exactly what you expected, minus maybe some wear and tear from the time that you've originally gone under contract. But if you've negotiated during attorney review for certain repairs to be made, now's the time to make sure those repairs have actually been made. If there was masonry work that was supposed to be done, you get there and it's not completed yet, we could have a problem that we need to get settled with the seller. You're also going to want to make sure all the utilities are turned on, check all of those appliances to make sure they're in working order. If anything was working when you did your first inspection, it should be working the day of closing as well.
Yeah, I'll add there too, just seasonality in Chicago. Sometimes the inspector, it's the middle of, it's this time of year. It's March. He doesn't inspect the air conditioner, and then you go to close 3 weeks later. Like, it's kind of on you at some point to make sure, like, all right, does this thing actually work? Does it exist? Is there a condenser? Can we turn this thing on? I'd put it on the inspector, but if he doesn't do it, it ultimately falls to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and if there's also, big new issues, like let's say there's been flooding or any kind of water seepage that's happened from the time you've done the inspection, and that's very apparent at the time of your walkthrough, that's an issue that you can bring up. It's not time to start nitpicking about holes in the wall from hanging paintings or anything minor. But if there's big issues, those need to be noticed and addressed before we're actually done with the closing.
Let me ask this question. Is there ever a time when you shouldn't do a final inspection? Like, technically, this is one of those weird things that it's not even in the contract. Like, this is more of just like a thing that everyone does, right?
If you've got an opportunity to do a final inspection, do a final inspection.
So we're agreeing on this call. Don't ever waive that opportunity.
No, definitely not. You want to make sure the building's still there. What if it burned down between Thursday night and Friday when you're supposed to close?
I've had that happen. I've had that. Not to me.
I've heard horror stories.
Yes, yes. He showed up after closing. The building was gone because the city demoed it because it's such a security issue because the fire was so bad.
Yeah.
You get that. I mean, some neighbors, you get squatters too, right? You don't see this place in 2 weeks, and it's an open invitation for someone to get in there. Now you're the one stuck dealing with it if you go ahead and close.
I get a lot of people that downplay this and they say, I got to work and I don't have to get out of work again, or I got to leave for the afternoon for the closing already. I don't want to take off more time. Like, man, I always tell people, like, man, like, that you can't, not an option, man. Just this is part of the process. You got to do it.
Yeah. I mean, unless there's something that wasn't disclosed, by the seller, after we're done closing, my hands are tied. I'm not going to be able to do a lot for you if you did not do that final walkthrough.
Yeah. And then I see people too, they'll send their realtor.
Yep.
And that's maybe the if like you really can't like that's, but at the same time, I tell people, if you guys send your realtor, tell them what they're looking for, because realtors are going to walk through and say it's all good. But if you want them to test this, or if you want them to verify this, like, make sure you give them a list to actually look at it if you're not able to be present.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we see it, especially if you're buying not a new home, but you're buying from someone who's already lived in it. Like, you might not know the water pressure in this shower sucks or whatever it is, right? Like, just, I don't know. It should all happen on an inspection, but this is your last chance. Like, just make sure it's done. You make sure you're prepared. And I don't know. I feel like Mark said, I feel these go one or two ways. They either go under appreciated, or you have the person who's just making a whole new, you've already done the painter's tape, you've already done all that, and then they have a whole new list. It's like, no, we already did this. I feel it's like two extremes and no one's ever right.
Well, that's the other big one
Exactly.
is
Yeah.
going back and make sure the seller did everything they want to do. And you know, you get a lot of sellers, they're like, ah, you know, it's a pain in the butt to move. I'll just leave the 17 yards of fire lumber on the back porch, and the next person will probably want that firewood.
Yeah, no,
uh,
I don't want it.
yeah, yeah. So it's like getting rid of those assumptions is what you cover on that walk too.
Now, I'm gonna jump into
Yeah.
keys, right? You're gonna get a key to the front door, back door, but it's like, oh, there's a cellar door, or oh, do I have the garage opener? Like all of a sudden you get handed it, you know, before closing, like just make sure every key for every room, especially if you're buying like a four, you know, you're buying your 2 to 4 unit building. Like a lot of people don't key everything the same. Like you're gonna have a lot of different keys there. Make sure you actually have all those and all the little storage lockers in the basement and so forth, right? Because if not, like put it on him that him or her that you know that seller has to provide that for you or some sort of credit because you're gonna have to pop some locks.
Precisely. Yeah.
What about from the buyer side? Like
Did
what
the
I'm
buyer
sorry, from
side.
the seller side. Like, you know, we're kind of bashing the seller in this scenario for what they did or they burned down the house or whatever it might be. Like, what should be the seller doing in preparing for this?
And if you're on the sale side, one, make sure you've completed all of those repairs you were supposed to. Make sure the utilities are on. More than once, I've had a seller who has, you know, turned off the heat or the gas or the electricity prior to the walkthrough. And guess what? We've got some very angry buyers now at the closing table because they weren't able to test everything. And also, if this is the middle of the winter in Chicago, we could have a very, very cold place, and they shouldn't have to deal with that. They should be able to make sure everything is still working. If you've got tenants there that you know we're supposed to move out, make sure they're out of the place. And you know the place needs to be clear of trash and debris unless you had agreed on that during attorney review. Don't leave that firewood there. Don't leave a couch there because hey, you know, it's only a couple years old and the buyer will probably want this. They don't. The places should be left in room clean condition.
But that's a big deal though. So what you just said, and let me go back. Like you might be buying you might have put a property under contract and there's tenants there. Closing's Friday. The tenants call on Wednesday, say, I need till Monday to get out. Seller's like, yeah, no, they'll be out Monday. Don't worry. But that's a huge risk. You can't take someone for their word, right?
Oh, exactly. I mean, especially somebody you've never met before, you're all of a sudden taking them on as tenants through the weekend, hoping that they leave the place in acceptable condition. No one in their right mind would ever accept those terms.
I've seen people get burned where they had to go through the eviction process, and 6 months later on that tenant that was supposed to be out Monday, like it took them to get
Yeah,
out.
Yeah,
yeah. You
that's a
give a
tough
mouse a
one. There's
cookie, they're gonna want a glass of milk. Like
there
they're gonna
there you
say,
go. So like there's certain things I feel you can do an escrow holdback for and some you can't. That is one you definitely cannot. Like that is a hard no, I feel, if you're on the buy side. Other things like, hey, this wasn't repaired. If you put enough in escrow holdback, if that seller walks away, at least you have the funds to go then take care of it on your own with your own contractor.
mhm.
Right? Like I feel very
Yeah,
comfortable on the if I'm representing a buyer that a lot of this stuff could be put into escrow holdback and be done. It's the open-ended things like, you know, the wild card tenant that, hey, that's a hard no. Like take care of it or we're walking.
yeah. Stuff happens sometimes. I understand that, and I've worked out escrow agreements on both the buy and sale side before. If you've got the money sitting there, usually people can come to an amicable agreement to get stuff worked out after closing. But you want to make sure that there is that financial incentive for the seller to finish what they were supposed to do.
Buyer has the leverage at closing. If we're going to talk sellers right now, what they have to lose, buyer typically has the leverage to at closing, unless they have like a late rate lock closing that day or something like that. They usually, hey, put that off. Would you agree with that?
I mean, if this is an investment property, more likely than not, yeah, you've got the
I guess if
leverage.
they're moving in, if
If
they've got the moving
exact,
truck in the parking lot, yeah, I guess.
I've had that happen before as well, where the buyers start to bring up nitpicky things, and if we don't close today, they've got nowhere to stay. The seller is not going to give you pre-closing possession if you're really picking at things that shouldn't be a worry to you.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I guess one last overarching comment on this. We mentioned this is like a non-contractual kind of formal thing that's done. When you're actually doing your attorney review, make sure you allow for access points just in case that seller does play hardball, because we've run into that before where they're just not going to grant access.
Really?
Right? So, yeah, so like make sure like it's over the top because 19 out of 20 people are normal people. That one person's not though. So just hey, we're gonna have these 3 access points and we're coming in.
Yeah. See, that blows me away though. Like think about like how normal it is. It happens on 99% of the transactions, but it's not even part of any of right? It's not in the contract, right? I don't think so.
I've never had anyone even raise this issue or deny a walkthrough to any of my clients before, and I've certainly never told my clients to deny access for a walkthrough.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it's the last time either party is going to be able to say, all right, everything's as it should be, and this deal can go forward.
Yep. All right. Anything else to add?
But if you do find any problems, call me right away or take pictures so that on either side that I'm representing, I need to be able to back up our argument one way or another. If you're telling me that there's trash all over the place and it's unacceptable, I need to back that up with photo evidence. If it's just one garbage bag full of stuff in one room, just move it outside. But if the place is actually trashed, yeah, we can get the seller to do something for you.
Be reasonable.
Yeah, no.
I like it.
Valid point. All right. Let's wrap here with our Chicago fact. Mark, who are we playing for?
All right. Our Chicago fact, 𝗬𝘃𝗲𝗵𝗁. So Philip, they also left us a 5-star review on iTunes. So thank you for that. And we're playing. And Philip, if myself or Chance get this right, then you'll get a $50 gift card brought to you by Lavelle Law. Chance from Lavelle Law.
Hey,
All
that's
right,
us.
perfect. All right, so Chance is an Avondale resident. So Mark, I think we can get this one here. Avondale is one of the 77 official neighborhoods. What are the 4 neighborhoods that it touches?
Old Irving Park,
Irving Park,
Logan.
Logan Square,
Logan.
Portage Park.
No.
No. Russ. Lakeview?
No. Before Lakeview.
Roscoe Village, right?
No.
We got one more,
Right
right?
to the east there. You have 2 more.
Ravenswood.
All you got is Logan and Irving right now.
We
You are
rattled off
missing
like
the southwest, and you're missing straight to the east at the river.
Southwest.
You're on the right. You were on the right track.
Okay. Southwest. What's the neighborhood directly west of Logan there? Why am I drawing a blank?
Is it Humboldt?
No.
No.
Man.
Oh, Belmont
I'm
Gardens.
cringing over
Belmont
here. We're going to have to
Craig,
edit
yeah.
some of this up. All right.
Belmont Craig.
You got 5 seconds.
They're gonna have to take out the pauses here, like in
Yeah.
the editing. That's so bad.
All right. The one you're trying to think of is Hermosa. Just west
Ah.
of Logan. You're missing
Belmont
that
Craig
one.
is on the other side of Hermosa. What's east?
North Center. You're going along. You're going along the right path there, but you were just a little too far east with Lakeview, a little too far south of Roscoe. North Center.
Ah, man.
Avondale
Good
doesn't
chance,
touch
dude.
Portage Park.
No, it's Irving.
Damn, Chance. We saw.
I know you take Milwaukee on an angle there, but you get through Irving to get there.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right, Philip. So the only good
more
news
you
is
know.
we'll put your name back in the drawing and get again, and hopefully next time we'll get you right. But thanks to Lavelle Law for sponsoring. Guys, awesome Tuesday tip here. Tom, thank you. Chance, thank you for always coming back and being a supporter of the show. Listeners, check out Build Your Team. StraightUpChicagoInvestor.com. Build Your Team. You got awesome attorney on there like Chance, and you have all the other sources you need for the different partners you're going to need in a transaction. So check it out, StraightUpChicagoInvestor.com. Tom, thank you. Chance, thank you. Listeners, we'll see you Thursday.
Thanks
Thanks,
all.
guys.